All right. So, hello, everyone, and welcome to Chats with Your Advocate, where health literacy meets real life. I'm Tiffany James, your family nurse practitioner, board certified patient advocate, and owner and founder of Divine Wellness Partners. Tonight, I'm thrilled to have our guest speaker here today, Miss Danielle Desiree. She is a certified life coach, international speaker, and owner and founder of Evolve to Love. Danielle brings powerful insight into how mindset, boundaries, and self worth shape our abilities to care for ourselves. So, tonight you're in for a real treat. Thank you so much for being here, Danielle.
Thank you for having
So,
me. It's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. So, as usual with these chats, before we dive in, I always go into a little bit of a disclaimer. So, this chat is for educational purposes only. It does not establish a client provider relationship. So, please always consult with your healthcare team before making any changes to your personal health regimen. And then, of course, always seek guidance from your provider for any questions that you may have. So, now, Danielle, I know you have such a powerful story that led you to your journey of developing Evolve to Love and just everything that you've been through. So, you want to share a little bit about your journey with us and what inspired you to do your work?
Oh, wow. Um, yeah, that would be great. To not to go into too long of a length of time, I am a sexual assault survivor, and even though that happened a very long time ago when I was younger, I was still having a lot of problems from that. And I found that I was struggling a lot of times when I would get triggered by things that reminded me of this assault, whether it be on TV, whether it be in a magazine, whatever it was in that moment. And it would set me back. Like I was there, I was experiencing all the anxiety, um, the depression sometimes, the anger, just going through it all over again in a sense. And I wanted help with that. So I sought out a life coach by the name of Mr. Rob Cook, and he thought he could help me with that, and get me to a point where um, I was able to move through my life, and when I came upon those triggers, be self-aware where it wouldn't affect my life so much in a negative aspect. So as I went through that journey, I realized that I wanted to do the same thing for other people. So that's what led me to being a life coach and Evolve to Love. I've always enjoyed sharing and helping people through my story. And I feel like our stories are very powerful. They're very valuable to other people, especially people that may be suffering from different things. But when we share our stories, people can hear them and be inspired by them and see that there is another side. So that's what inspired me to be a speaker. And that's pretty much it.
Beautiful. Beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. And I know we've had conversations in the past, and you're like, I'm an open book. And so I know sharing your story, like you said, it really helps others. So thank you for doing that. We appreciate it. And so when we talk about self care, a lot of people think about self care as spa days and just pampering, right? But true
Yeah.
self care is layered, right? It's layered. So you got the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, the four pillars of self care, if you will. That's what keeps us balanced. And then we talk too, and we're like, when one overlaps or one gets neglected, it affects everything and everybody. So, talking about those four pillars, the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of self care, how do you feel like as a life coach that shows up in your work when working with people?
Um, it's something that I went through myself. And it's funny because I had the same outlook on self-care. Oh, that's spa days. That's
Mhm.
that's massages. That's getting my hair and nails done. That's a bubble bath. That's self-care.
Right.
And that's one way self-care can show up for yourself, you know, um, more in a physical sense. But previously, I also looked at self-care as something separate. Like, okay, there's a physical aspect, there's a mental aspect, there's a spiritual aspect, and there's an emotional aspect. I think that's what you said.
Hmm.
But So I tend to look at them in categories, kind of like how you listed them,
Gotcha.
where through my coaching journey, I discovered that it's really not categories. It's more like a circle, you know? It all goes
Mm-hmm.
together, all goes 360 together. Um, and learn not to be so hard on myself. We're human beings, we're navigating this world and the challenges, complexities in it. And it's not always easy to do, giving myself more grace. So there's been times
Absolutely.
I've been on it a whole lot more with self-care in a spiritual sense,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not so much in a physical sense, or in a physical sense in that moment, but not so much in an emotional sense. But I'm realizing true self-care is all of it. It's all of it. And it's also giving yourself the grace too, even when you feel like you may fall short. But the most important thing is the awareness, listening to
Yes.
your body more. Um, I do that a lot more now instead of what I used to do when I was younger, which was go, 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 like the Energizer Bunny. And
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't listen to my body. I just push through, push through, push through, push through to the point where I was either sick, so tired I couldn't do anything else. Where now my body and everyone's body does it, gives you warnings, it gives you signs. Um, when we take the time to slow down and pay attention, we can hear it, we can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big, big, big part of self-care.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that for sure. And then I know coming from a place for me of a as a healthcare provider, looking at self care in terms of prevention, in terms of healthcare prevention, and breaking it down into a few different things. So to me, being a patient advocate and medical provider, really wanting people to take care of themselves on the medical side as well. Um, Looking at primary prevention, stopping diseases before they start. So things like vaccinations and kind of like what you're talking about with the lifestyle choices and just taking care of yourself, your body, your physical, your mental, um, quitting smoking, things like that. There's a secondary prevention, which is looking at the symptoms. So catching those diseases early before the symptoms really start to show. So, people getting their colorectal cancer screenings and pap smears and breast cancer screenings through mammograms. Those are good ways to do preventative self care management. And then for those who may be watching and suffering from chronic diseases, wanting to speak to tertiary prevention. So, what that means is, like, for example, a diabetic who has to manage their blood sugars through taking medications, lifestyle changes, and regular follow ups. Um, so, just wanting to take a second to speak on the different levels of prevention and self care from a healthcare standpoint, because we do know that when we take those steps, we're actually practicing self advocacy, which I'm a huge proponent of, showing up for ourselves from the healthcare place as well. So, I love that we're hitting it from different angles, but still very important. So, when it comes to mindset and boundaries, what does that mean in terms of self care? Because it's hard to set boundaries sometimes. But when do we know we need to do that?
I think it varies for different people. Um, I could sit here and tell somebody to set boundaries with something, but they might not feel like that they think that they need to do that. It's when it's to me, it's an individual thing for each person. And I used to look at boundaries like if I'm setting a boundary, I'm pushing people away. And I didn't want to push people away. I love people. I want to embrace people. I want to be there for them. I want to serve them. So if I'm saying no, that's a bad thing, especially if I'm making them upset.
Mm-hmm.
Where in actuality, I had to shift my mindset into thinking, no, a boundary isn't me pushing them away. It's pulling me in, you know. Maybe in
That's
that
true.
moment, I'm feeling something within myself. And most people know, everyone has intuition. They have that wisdom
Mm-hmm.
that's for them in their
Mm-hmm.
lives. So in that moment, a lot of times people will feel the boundary, but they'll dismiss it for whatever
Yeah.
reason. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to make this person mad. I don't want them to think that this. I don't want them to think this way, or, um, maybe it's just me, or, um, no, I need to be nice. And so really your wisdom is telling you no, but you're going against your wisdom because you're concerned about how that's going to play out. And one way that's helped me a lot is to not look at boundaries as a no, but look at it as a yes. A lot of times a no is a yes. It's a yes
Mm.
to you.
Right.
If you're tired and someone's asking you to do something and you're exhausted, no, you don't want to do it. You're tired. You need your
Mhm.
rest. Rest
Mhm.
is important, but you don't want to say no.
Yes.
But if you say no, that's really a yes to you. Nothing to feel bad
Right.
about. You know what I mean? Okay,
Uh-huh.
so this person is upset right now, and it's ramping your energy up. You're absorbing their energy, and it's making you upset. You don't want to be in that space. You don't want to feel like you're dismissing them either because they're
Right.
upset right now. So what you
Uh-huh.
really want to do is wrap it up and go and have some peace. But instead of doing that, you're standing there and you're listening to them, and they're getting angry and it's ramping you up and you're getting anxiety. When And sometimes you don't have to be aggressive about it, or you don't have to be crass about it. It can easily be something polite and courteous. And hey,
Mhm.
I'm sorry you're going through that. You know, I understand. I have to go though. Maybe we can talk about this later, or maybe, whatever it is. But a lot of times we abandon ourselves
Mm. Mhm.
and not setting that boundary because we want others to be happy with us, or we want to keep the peace and we don't want to upset anybody. But not holding that boundary for us is abandoning ourselves. And a lot of times when we don't have boundaries, that can show up in our health, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely. I love how you frame that. Absolutely. That's so true. That's so true. And it is, we as people, we oftentimes want to do the best that we can and be the best that we can. But I like that, saying yes to yourself and just having that reminder that self-care is not selfish. It's just something that you need to do for you to be the best you that you can be. It's survival, it's alignment, it's empowerment, right? So I
right.
think that's beautiful. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
But
so
we're
yeah,
not
and then
conditioned with that though. We're
yeah,
conditioned to think self-care is selfish.
right. Right.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly. So definitely the mindset is needed, and the shift in mindset. And it takes work, right? It's not
Yeah,
perfection. It
it
takes a
does.
bit. Hmm. Absolutely. And so with self-care and just strategies for practicality, right? It doesn't have to be overwhelming because, like we said, it takes work to get there. So having one consistent action, so things like um, setting the boundary, like we talked about, or just doing like a nightly reset, or from a health standpoint, scheduling that screening for health things. Those are all small things, practical strategies that we can do. What are some other examples of things that people can do practically when they're trying to make that shift in mindset, when they're trying to make that change to prioritize them? Some things they can do.
Okay. Um, I'll give some things that I do, and then I'll try to offer some other things. So,
Absolutely.
for me, one of the biggest things that helps me the most is nature. So,
Mm,
nature has a way of slowing me down and helping me come to stillness and not uh, not to continue being a human doing, but a human being. So,
understand.
it's important for us as humans to just be sometimes, not always be a
Mm,
human doing. So,
mm-hmm.
nature has a way of slowing me down when I spend time in nature. Nature goes at its own pace. It's a much slowed down pace than what we go at every day as humans. So that's one way. Um, and that nature can be it could be me going in my backyard. It could be me going to the ocean because I'm blessed enough to not live far away. And so any form of nature for me helps with that. Another big way for me is music. So
Mm,
uh, music, if you take the time to really pay attention, music is a big influencer of emotion.
Mm.
Whether a song comes on and you're being nostalgic, or whether a song comes on, it's pumping you up and you're ready to go, or whether it's something that's winding you down, and relaxing you. But music is a biggie, and this is why I'm careful to what I listen to, because it
Very
can
true.
influence it positively or negatively.
Right.
Um, Another way for me is different things that I may do in my day that may be a ritual. So for me, it's small, but it's drinking tea or coffee. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things I look forward to in my day. It doesn't have to be that for you, but find something that you find joy in, that you look forward to each day,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's a small cup of tea or coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I have the time and I make the time, reading is another big one for me.
Mm-hmm.
If you find a book that you're really interested in, and it's for that moment that you're reading, it's taking you out of your present, whatever your present you're dealing with, and you're getting a chance to kind of rest your brain and go into another world and read for a little while. These are all things that to me are small things, um, non-expensive things, easy things to
Mm-hmm.
do. Now, there's other things too, like activities. I love to paint, and you know this. So the painting with the sip and all that, and painting,
Oh
and yeah,
yeah.
I love that because
Yeah.
when you paint, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're just
Mm-hmm.
enjoying the process of painting. And once again, you're giving your mind a break and you're in that present moment. So sometimes it's important, especially when we're talking about self-care, to get out of your thoughts because
Yes.
we can be ramped up and overthinking and on that thought hamster wheel, just going, 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 going,
Absolutely.
and never slowing
Absolutely.
down.
Uh-huh.
And to the point where sometimes it's hard for people to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
like you say, coming from a medical position, this all affects the body. This all can manifest in physical ways. So it's important to find out what works for you. And like I said, it doesn't have to be the things that I said, but try different things out. Find out what you like and what you enjoy and the small things that can bring you that, or the things that can give you peace, even if it's for a little while. And you'll be
Mm-hmm.
surprised how your stress level comes down.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it's again just all so true. I mean, and when you talked about that circle earlier and how everything is connected, it's true. And then the overflow of one thing, if we neglect the physical, how it can begin to affect the mental and even the spiritual and the emotional, all those different components. It is a circle, a revolving circle there. So beautifully put for sure. And then when we talk about the health aspects of things and just making sure that the people watching know that from a standpoint there, those small steps that we can take, scheduling those preventative screenings, making a goal to just commit to something this month, or a boundary that they'll set, just setting those small, sustainable goals. Um, so they're not overwhelmed because it is hard. Change is hard. And so, with everything we've talked about today, for those who are inspired watching, Danielle, how can people follow you and learn more about what you're doing and tell us more about what's next for Evolve to Love? We want to hear about your business.
Well, thank you.
Of
The quickest,
course.
easiest way you can find me is Facebook and Instagram. So Facebook under my name, Danielle Desiree. Instagram at the Danielle Desiree, and lots of wonderful things coming up. The biggest one is a one-day conference or summit that I'm doing November 15th. It's called
Okay.
Together We Rise. I'm looking
Beautiful.
forward to it. It's going to be talking about all things community. How do we come together as a people and human beings to rise together, especially in today's climate and everything that we're seeing out there in the world. So, really excited about that. Um, I am gearing up to speak in Spain in October, so I am very excited about that. Looking forward to
Wonderful.
that. And I'll be
Yes.
speaking on a panel. Um, it's a group called Beautiful Intelligent People of Color. and we will
Okay.
be going there to be facilitators and help with the training, dealing with community and leadership in community. So
Okay.
excited about that as well. I also
Wonderful.
am affiliated with the Space Coast Black Chamber of Commerce, and
All right.
I'm excited about that and all the work they're doing. So yeah, just
Yes.
all the things.
Absolutely. All the things, beautiful things for
Right,
sure.
right.
So a lot more to come. So everybody go follow Miss Danielle and follow what she's doing for sure. And
Yes,
then
and
in terms
one thing
of,
I want to tell you too. So
yeah,
before I forget, if they want to catch my podcast, An Extraordinary Life, that's on YouTube. That's what it's
okay.
called, An Extraordinary Life. And
Okay.
it deals with neurodivergent parenting. I'm a parent of an autistic son, and you'll be able to hear all the guests being parent of a neurodivergent child, or they are a neurodivergent person. And yeah,
Okay.
so and I have another project coming out too called Kings that's being rebranded, and that is a podcast
Okay.
that's coming out dealing with creating a safe space for Black men and men of color. So
Beautiful. Beautiful. So a lot of amazing things. So yes, everybody stay tuned for Miss Danielle Desiree. Subscribe to her channels, follow her pages for sure. And then in terms of Divine Wellness Partners, as usual, be sure to subscribe to the channel, follow the platforms. I always drop resource lists in the YouTube description, so I'll make sure I put Miss Danielle's information in the chat today and some helpful resources that you all watching can utilize for preventative management, self-care management, and just overall empowerment. Now, we do have one little nugget that we're going to be rolling out next week, a big announcement. So you definitely want to stay tuned. It'll be perfectly aligned with what we're talking about today. So remember, always, self care is health care and mental wellness is everything. Thank you so much, Miss Danielle, and we'll chat
thank you.
soon.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.